Alright guys, welcome back to the I Can't Have Nice Things YouTube channel. Today we are going to be working on this. It's a 2004 Yfz 450. I just got it today. It arrived here just like this. The owner of it took it apart because it wouldn't start. He came down here and fiddled around with the carburetor. Said he rebuilt it and it still wouldn't start. I'll be honest, I think that's as far as he really went. I'm not 100% sure why he took all the plastics off or anything like that, because he never tried spraying starter fluid in it. He thought it wasn't getting fuel, but he never checked spark, he never checked compression. So I think the first thing we're going to do with this is see if it will even turn over. He said the battery was dead when we pulled it off of his truck, but when I got it inside, the key switch here was on. So I'm assuming maybe he has just been leaving it on and killing the battery. I did put a trickle charger on it for about 4 hours. And let's see, let's go ahead and turn this key on. Turn it on. Let's run. Let's roll, make sure it's in neutral. Always make sure they're in neutral. That would be really dumb. Hold on. All right. I don't know if you can hear that. All right, so we swapped in what I know is a good used battery. It's the taller version of this smaller motorcycle battery. It'll work fine for now. I realize it's too tall. But what's crazy is this battery is, what, 4 or 5 months old? And it got that hot in that short amount of time that I was charging it. And that's got me concerned that something's wrong with this battery, and or something damaged the battery. So what I'm going to do is check this oil real quick. I'll tell you what, that's pretty low right there. That's not good. You're really supposed to check this just after it's been running for about 5 minutes. You don't have to have it blazing hot to check it. Shut it off and let it sit for a minute or two to let the oil run back down into the case and into this cooler here. But it's definitely low. So I'm gonna add a little bit to that, and then we're gonna go ahead and see if it'll turn over, and we'll go from there. Okay. See how well it turns over. Let's go ahead and pull this. At least they put something in the intake there. That sounds odd. It's having an awful hard time turning that thing over. It's either the battery's weak, which it's not. I just pulled that out of another four-wheeler. The starter's weak, or my compression release valve is not working, or the compression release cam, or whatever that is on here, that little rod. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull the spark plug out of this thing, and we're gonna turn it over again. At least we're gonna check spark. And go back to that compression issue here in a second. I'm not 100% sure on what I'm going to do about that. So we popped out our plug there. This plug does not look like it has ever been fired. I don't know if you can see that. This plug has never been ran. And can't see down in that hole, but that's very odd. I guess maybe when he did the carb, he threw a fresh plug in it. Let's crank it over and see how fast it'll crank over now. Let's see what it'll do. Well, it's definitely turning over better. Let's go ahead and hook this back in and check our spark. This whole four-wheeler, though, I'll tell you what, look at that. That red wire. Can you see that? That red wire right there? What in the world? I want to go ahead and let you guys know, this is the first Yfz 450 I've ever worked on. I've done plenty of DRZ 400s and YZ 250Fs and dirt bikes and stuff like that. Lots and lots of two-strokes, but this is the first 450 Yamaha I've ever messed with. So let me set the camera down for a second and get a better look at this wire and see if there's another piece back in here that it's supposed to be hooked to, or I'm not really sure what this is. So let me check into this real fast. Let me put you down and I'll get you right back. Alright, so I threw the tank back on and I turned the fuel on. I'm actually going to see down here in the carburetor if we have any fuel coming out. We have our choke here. I like to see if we got anything coming out down here. What in the world? Should have fuel coming out of there. Well, that's just good stuff right there. Alright. I'm gonna crack the tank loose. Why do I not have fuel coming out my little overflow down here? Wonder if this is a 100% a fueling issue. Let's do the old tap on the carburetor trick, see if we can get that seat loosen up. Still, no fluid out of that carburetor yet. That's not promising. Let me turn you off. I'm gonna put that little screw back in there and check to see if I can pull that bowl off without having to rip the whole carburetor off. Well, I pulled the bowl off just real quick. I don't know if you can see that, but the needle there will not drop down. There's supposed to be a small spring that pulls the needle down when it is filling up, or when there's no fuel in the bowl. It's supposed to drop down and actually pull this needle with it, which is not moving at all. So this needle is stuck up in there pretty good, and we are missing the little, I don't even know what it's called, retainer spring maybe, I don't know. All I know is there's a spring missing and that needle's stuck. So we're gonna gently pry that needle out and go from there. Oh wow, when I say that thing was stuck, look at that, look at the buildup on that thing. What is that? It's like a casing around the outside of this. There's one side, there's the other side, and bam, there's some kind of crud that's all crusted up in there. This is possibly one of the worst I've ever seen. When I just pulled that out, a big bunch of like brown gas came out. You know, tarnished gas, very, very old gas. He said he just rebuilt these carburetors like not even 2 months ago. That's why it was all apart and he couldn't get it to run. I don't see how that could be possible. I don't know. This thing is filthy. This thing really needs to be completely torn down. I was just doing this to see if there's anything super noticeable, aka, you know, this. So, you know, there's some missing parts and everything in here, but let me, you know, get some carb clean, start cleaning off some stuff in here, and do a little bit of research. I'm going to double check to make sure there's supposed to be a spring around the bottom of this one that draws it down when the float drops. All the ones I've ever seen did. So let me do a little bit of research, and I'll turn this back on when I figure that out. All right, so as of right now, I slid the carb back up in there and let it sit. We had to move it over here out of the way. It leaked a ton of fuel on the floor there. So what we're going to do is order the carb kit. I found one for about 40 bucks. So ordering the carb kit to replace the needle seat, that little retainer spring that hooks it to the floats that was completely missing. The main jets, I did pull the main jet out. I looked through it. Looks pretty clean. But regardless, we're replacing it. We're rebuilding the carburetor the right way. The next time you see this, it'll be back over there, and we will have a carb kit, and we're going to see if we can get this thing running. There it is. It's about 4 days later. It came a little bit quicker than I thought. But this is our carb kit. Our big parts we need is that needle. And as you can tell on the back of that needle right there, there's that clip that we were missing. We had that gasket for the bowl. We needed that pretty bad too. It was leaking. So let me bust this thing apart real quick, reinstall some of these parts, and see where we're at. All right, we got the carburetor back together. I didn't bother filming any of that because there's probably 15 videos here on YouTube of that carburetor getting rebuilt. The only thing I didn't use was this main jet here. It's a 155. The one that's in this quad is a 176, and there's no way I would lean this out anymore. With the way these things run hot already, you know, no way. And then actually, this needle here, the one that's in there is fully adjustable up top, whereas this one is not. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know why this thing doesn't focus anymore. But, yeah. So it's all together. I turned the fuel on, and I don't see any leaks. Even with the JB weld that's on the side of this carburetor, I don't see any leaks yet. So we'll see how that works out. Yeah, I'll put a link in the description to this carb kit here. It only has 2 gaskets with it, which is your bowl drain gasket and your actual bowl gasket itself. But like I said, cheap, like 30 bucks, and we've got her done. So let's go ahead and turn this ignition on and see if we can get any kind of fire out of this thing. Ignition on. I just turned the fuel on. It's in neutral. Oops. I definitely needed to put that back on. That was kind of dumb. What was that coming out? Oil? Yeah, oil catch can. Actually, you know what? I'm going to double check the oil real quick. That looks about right. Let's give her a shot. Pull the choke out a little bit. Whoop, that's a good sign. Half choke. took it off choke, and it died pretty quick. But what we need to do is let it sit for a few minutes, double check our oil level, which, like I said, on these is pretty crucial. And then we're gonna let it start up and run some more. I'm not gonna do too much tuning of this carburetor with no air box. And the owner is very aware of that. I told him that. He is just trying to sell this, and all he wanted was to be able to start it up and idle, which obviously before, as you saw from that jet, there was no way that would ever happen. So let me let this cool down, check the oil, and we're gonna fire it up and let it run some more. This turned out to be more or less just a going over the four-wheeler so I can report to him all the problems that I found. His charging system is not working. He doesn't really want me to look into it. The carburetor is rebuilt. It'll fire up and run right now. And so, you know, other than the fact he's going to have to buy a brand new battery, that's all I can do. He's happy. His four-wheeler's running again. He came and got it. He was stoked. He kind of told me that the carb, maybe his idea of cleaning the carb was physically spraying the outside of the carb. So you never know what you're getting into with these. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll get another video out as soon as I can.